having been within a couple of hundred meters of admission to Australia. World number one Novak Djokovic has been denied entry into the country, and the federal government deemed his visa application was ineligible. But how exactly did he get so close to entering the country in the first place? Khotso Sello files this report.
After weeks of speculation, Novak Djokovic has been denied entry to Australia. But how did we get to this point? It all dates back to April 2020, when Djokovic expressed his concerns over vaccines. In a Facebook live stream with fellow Serbian athletes, he reveals his doubts over vaccination even before a COVID-19 vaccine has been created.
He just has an absolute thing about being vaccinated. He's made that very clear from the start, and that's his only reason why he isn't vaccinated. There isn't any specific medical reason why he couldn't be vaccinated, and those are the exceptions when it comes to the exemption.
In June that year, Djokovic and 4 other top men's tennis players test positive for the virus after playing in the Adria Tour exhibition tournament in the Balkan region. Organized by Djokovic himself, the tournament is widely criticized by the sporting world for being held with few health and safety protocols. There are no masks and little to no social distancing. This at a time when the first wave of coronavirus sweeps across the world. Other notable tennis players who test positive after participating in that tournament include Grigor Dimitrov, Borna Koric and Viktor Troicki. As vaccines are developed and rolled out across various countries, multiple tennis tournaments continue with vague vaccination mandates. The 2021 US Open in August requires fans to show proof of vaccination to attend, but athletes themselves were not required to be vaccinated to participate. Djokovic, alongside other players, either refused to answer questions on their vaccination status or express doubts when asked ahead of the event.
I feel like that should be always a personal decision, whether you want to get vaccinated or not. So I'm supportive of that. So whether someone wants to get a vaccine or not, that's completely up to them. I hope that it stays that way.
As attention turns to the Australian Open, state and federal government ministers say vaccination will be mandatory for participating athletes. Djokovic can't enter without vaccination. The following month, Australian Open director Craig Tilley follows suit, saying players must be fully vaccinated in order to take part in the 2022 tournament. This led to Djokovic's father expressing doubts over whether the world number one will participate in the tournament at all due to the mandate.
Novak shows up at the Australian Open, he'll either be vaccinated or he'll have a medical exemption. Now his choice on his medical condition is his choice to keep personal and private, like all of us would do with any condition we may or may not have. So we are not going to force him or ask him to disclose that. Everyone needs to know that the condition of entry would be those 2 requirements, and it's rigorous. It's not that straightforward.
Despite all signs pointing to Djokovic's absence from the Australian Open, as well as the lead-up tournaments such as the ATP Cup, the Serbian is included on an entry list for both tournaments by their respective governing bodies. On Tuesday, Djokovic posts on social media that he will be participating in the Australian Open after being granted a medical exemption. After 2 days of public backlash, Prime Minister Scott Morrison confirms that the federal government has cancelled Djokovic's visa while the player and his team are still inside Melbourne's international airport.
Rules are rules, and there are no special cases. Rules are rules. It's what I said to you yesterday. That's the policy of the government and has been our government's strong border protection policies, and particularly in relation to the pandemic, that has ensured that Australia has one of the lowest death rates from COVID anywhere in the world.
While Djokovic's support staff are allowed into Melbourne, Djokovic himself is detained for several hours at the airport while his application is assessed. His lawyers have since launched an appeal that will be heard on Monday. It is still unknown how long he and his team are allowed to remain in Australia while this process plays out. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Khotso Sello in Johannesburg.